Improving utility usage and analyzing logs to become a better player. Here we go.
Hello friends and
Hello.
welcome to the channel. In this video, I would like to make a follow-up to my last video, which overall seemed to stir up quite a lot of conversation. This video aims...
So we watched this video. I didn't upload it to YouTube or anything, but like we watched this video on logs and stuff, and it was really good. He raised a lot of good points.
to give you a greater understanding of how to make yourself a better raider and give you more insight when recruiting players to high-end content. As I said in my previous video,
let it be known, this guy recruited me. He accepted me into his group. Me, a fucking machinist.
high numbers aren't the end-all be-all to being a good player, but I think it is important that I expand on those ideas so that players can understand what they can do to get better all round. And how they
Wait! Yo, it's me, dude! I'm on stream! Let's go! Wait, I'm on the video. I'm actually featured. Oh my god.
And use tools such as passes to better themselves instead of hinder. First, I would like to address something that can be quite frustrating. People trying to pass in farm parties. This is quite common in the FF community as a vast majority of raiders do not have statics and they are trying to get the numbers they need to join statics or just simply because they think it's important to have. Maybe you've seen it before when a player is going in for those extra GCDs that look just too risky to be true, and before you know it, they either die or they take a damage down stack, which in turn forces the healers to heal them back up to full health or to resurrect them for an upcoming mechanic. This costs the healers their damage. It may cost other DPS to compensate their rotations to adjust, and tanks may have to use extra cooldowns to compensate for the situation. This can cause a domino effect in the party's damage, making the overall DPS check harder to pass, which is not something you really want when you're just trying to farm or clear in a party. This kind of mind...
I really gotta blow my nose, chat. I'm sorry. One sec. Jesus Christ, man. My nose is just leaking for no fucking reason.
Set where the clear doesn't take priority over a few lost GCDs is what really makes situations in Party Finder a lot more painful than they need to be and leads to more people deciding they no longer want to raid.
Alright, look, here's the thing, right? Like, nobody's asking you to, like, just, like, not press buttons and play too safe and shit. Alright, but there's a time and a place for, like, logs and shit, and it ain't in a farm party. Like, the goal of a farm party is to clear the fucking fight. Obviously, pull your weight. No one's asking you to not pull your weight and not do well. But, you know, like, trying to change strats for your uptime, like, in a PF, or just generally being a twat, is not encouraged. You know what I mean?
Comes down to knowing when to greed and not to greed, and understanding the risk versus consequence and if the reward is worth it. The bottom line of this is it's no fun wiping late into an encounter in a clear or farm party just because one player wanted one extra GCD when the group has already plenty of DPS to meet the DPS check. Save that for past parties or learning parties. I briefly went over this in my previous video, but I do think it's worth mentioning in this video too, related.
Learning party, I mean, I guess I kind of get it in learning parties because you want to, like, learn the boundaries and shit, but honestly, in learning parties, I think you should just be focusing on the mechanics and doing less than usual while you learn them, and then, like, because, like, naturally, like, when you learn a fight, right, you naturally optimize over time, or at least a lot of people do. Like, me, for example, I'm a fucking range, so it doesn't really apply to me, but, like, you know, over time, like as you pull more, you get more confident. P3 of like DSR is a great example. Like you get more comfortable. You learn not by greeding, but just by seeing the mechanics, timing, and stuff. Like where you can get GCDs or not. You don't have to greed and die to learn that. So I don't know about learning parties. I would say probably not. But that's me, I guess.
To clear and farm parties. There is 3 types of players when it comes to greeding. Players who don't risk greeding at all, which is fine when you have plenty of gears into a major patch and the DPS check is a non-issue, which is usually the case for your average clear or farm party. Then we have players who take every opportunity they can get to greed, which can often be more detrimental than beneficial in a clear or farm party if they don't have a full grasp on how to greed. Finally, we have
Look at me take those orbs like a fucking champ, dude. I'm sorry.
Greeders who have a good grasp on their greeding ability and snapshot potential of mechanics to output as much damage as their comfort allows. Ideally, to become the last type of player, you will need practice. Joining practice groups or utilizing target dummies or practicing in fights that have similar mechanics but lower consequences if you fail. Going straight into high-end content, ignoring or missing mechanics or mitigations because you are looking at your hotbar and DPS rotation is going to cost the team. So let's get into some tips on how to improve as a player to become more comfortable in high-end content. The first thing you can do is practice. There are a lot of guides and tips online on how to play a job or a role. Places like the Balance Discord, FFXIV, or AK Morning, as well as specialized discords and websites for deep dungeons, hunts, and etc. There is no shortage of other players wanting to offer support to new raiders, myself included. My Discord is always open to new players and new raiders with any questions. With that being said, you might ask, how do I practice? What if I don't have a pass? What if I'm confused about some mechanics? There is nothing wrong with any of that, because that is where we all started. I myself don't even use a passer. I haven't for a long time. However, my logs still get uploaded to FFLogs because even though I'm not passing...
I'm gonna be real, anyone that says that I think is lying. Nothing personal, I just think anyone that says that is fucking lying, dude. Everyone has it on behind the scenes somewhere. I mean, like, it is true that, like, I didn't for a little bit. But then you have people that say, look, like, they literally never use it and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Not in every case. Everyone wants to see, like, how they're doing from time to time. What the fuck is on my chair? Yeah, obviously, if you're on console, it's different, chat. Yeah, absolutely.
Other people usually are. The same is likely for you if you do level 90 content regularly. You can navigate to FFLogs, get the link from FFLogs, and plug it into a website called XIV Analysis. This will break down your job, burst window, party buffs, and rotation for you, and give you lots of information without having to talk to another person or navigating FFLogs, which can be a bit daunting in of itself. Another way is to practice things like recovery, joining in alliance raids, normal raids, EX trials, etc. Practice recovery from missing a burst window or from dying. Recovery is a very important skill to learn before joining high-end content. Practice weaving without clipping into your GCD. Practice moving in and out of mechanics and AoEs. Utilize in-game options like Stone, Sky, and Sea before joining into Savage. And just make sure you're comfortable and have the damage needed to clear. If you don't, it's okay to ask for help. Now I want to move on to utility usage and its importance in high-end content. This includes tank reprisals and AoE mitigations, melee's feints, casters addles, physical ranges AoE mitigations.
Bro, you could have at least put tactician, man. Come on, bro. Look, I just want to be relevant, man. Come on, man. He's right, though.
Personal self-heals like Second Wind, Bloodbath, personal mitigations like Monk's Riddle of Earth or Black Mage's Mana Ward, and that's just to list a few. All of these are extremely valuable and should not be ignored. Getting the most out of these cooldowns not only makes a night and day difference to your healer's damage output and comfortability, but it can also potentially prevent unnecessary deaths to either yourself or other party members. Learning to get the most value out of your defensive utility will go a long way. Although perfect usage won't be expected, making an active effort to actually press these abilities will have lasting impacts on the...
That's the important bit. Like, look, as long as you're pressing the buttons, like, that's the bit that matters. The fact that you're trying to press them. Like, you'll see so many people just not press it a single fucking time. It's like, it doesn't even matter if it's not optimal. You can work that out later. As long as it's being used, you are having some kind of impact. Like, in a PF scenario, it's hard to communicate exactly when the optimal times are to use stuff. You don't know how people are mitigating. You don't know how people are healing. Just using it when the opportunity is there and it will affect something is enough. It's really not that difficult. Just think of it as like an extra weave. Think of it as an OGCD. Like, that's literally what it is. Like, the people that just don't press their mitigation just astound me. Honestly.
The encounter. Just make sure to stay consistent in a party by party basis, as the healers will most likely expect defensives used at particular moments after some time. There have been too many instances in my experience where I join a group just for the tanks to not use reprisals, or the melees to never use feint, or seeing 0 addles. You get the idea. Final Fantasy XIV does a great job at making most abilities have value, with a few exceptions like Kaishe Higenbana. Like, seriously, why does the skill even exist? The point is, every element of a job's kit will have
Is that true, Samurais? Because I actually don't know. They got rid of Kaiten, but not this. That's sad, man. 99% of the time, useless in any scenario. Literally useless. And why does that exist? Is it just there for consistency? What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, when you're learning a new job, like, you are liable to forget your MIT, sure. But, like, just try and make, like, a conscious attempt to, like... Because, like, if you know the timelines of fights when you're learning a new job, like, you know roughly when you can press stuff. So that kind of helps. It comes with fight knowledge. Survive 95% of AoEs without pressing them, so people don't get used to pressing them. Yeah, I mean, like, I know the problem is that, but did you die, though? Like, I am aware of that. It's just bad practice not to. Unfortunately, the game doesn't really push you to do so outside of, well, DSR, really. But, but, you know, it's like, to me, it's just not an excuse. It's like, if you can make people, your group's lives easier, like, why wouldn't you?
value in high-end raiding, including its DPS and how it provides utility. If you think, well, I have never used these and I have been finding content, just know that someone else has picked up that slack in the pie, and if you really want to be a good raider or dependable player, using these tools is imperative. Let's finally move on to how logs can actually be helpful if you look past those numbers when analyzing yourself or recruiting for a team. I'll use myself as an example here. If we navigate to my last P4S kill, click on myself and go to casts, we can see that I used 5 reprisals in a 7-minute and 35-second encounter. Reprisal is on a 60-second cooldown, so that could potentially be 7 reprisals, although that's not always realistic, as you might need reprisal up at a specific time. The way about this is if I need to use my reprisal 130
Also, you don't want to overlap with your code tank.
seconds into the fight from my last reprisal,
So logically,
you'd probably use
like
another reprisal
4,
for
3.
something else in between for the first 10 seconds when it comes back off cooldown, and I will have reprisal safely back up for about 10 seconds before the next mechanic I need to use reprisal on comes back up. This not only applies to reprisal though, but also all other defensive raid utility. This information can prove useful to a player to optimize and maximize their utility to become a more valuable raider. Looking at this information is also a useful tactic to static leaders as a way to not only gauge a player's numbers, but rather their utility usage and how much value they are gaining from their utility when recruiting raid members, as these skills are extremely valuable in high-end content, especially if you're interested in moving into speed kills, where optimization and mitigation is absolutely required. Another thing to look at is deaths, debuffs, gear level versus content level, and time the content was cleared. These things will affect a person's numbers, but if the rotation, mitigation, and mechanics are solid, that 55 isn't any different than an 85 someone who got a better kill time and has more gear. Look past the numbers and give raiders a chance so we can have an overall better and more fun raiding community. And that
No, you must have 90s to clear to remember.
will be a wrap. If you would like more videos in a similar vein to this one, do let me know in the comments below. That said, if you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, and if you aren't subscribed yet and enjoy the content, then do consider doing so. If you'd like to support me any further, there are a few socials in the description below, and with that all said, I shall see you guys in the next one. But until then, take it easy, stay safe, and goodbye.
Later, bruv. Actually, I'll see you in a few hours. Yeah, good video. I mean, like, you know, it might seem like pointless information to some. It might just seem like, you know, we're just like regurgitating info here. But the fact is, like, the information needs to be out there. There needs to be more content like that. Otherwise, people don't get the fucking message, man. That's why I'm glad when, like, videos like this go up. Because the more there is, the more visible it is. The more reach it has, and then more people, like, consider being better. Obviously, there's going to be a subset of people that just don't give a fuck. They don't watch any content. They don't consume any resources. They don't make any effort to get better. And so it's lost on them. But those are lost causes. And we put them on the blacklist. Easy. They still won't get it, let's be honest. No, I know. I mean, like, this is, as I said, like, you know, a lot of people don't even watch shit, but what is this copy pasta?